All right, you're tuned into MMA Canada and very excited to be talking to an individual set to compete as part of BTC's upcoming show, which goes down in Belleville. And always good to see Bell Vegas get a little bit of action. And we've got Matt Harrigan taking on Doug Ford in quite the lightweight battle set to go down, an amateur showdown. And yeah, it seems like some fireworks are to be expected, and great getting to have Doug on the MMA Canada platform to talk more about that today. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yeah, no, doing great, man. Just, great to have you on the program and just, curious to get a bit of, I guess, foundational knowledge as to how we've got here for you to this point in the journey. Like, what was the first martial art that really, got you immersed into the world of martial arts and everything?
Well, ever since I was a young age, my father got me into mixed martial arts, watching and participating. Uh, you know, the UFC, we both bond over that. Uh, the Iceman Chuck Liddell was always my favorite UFC fighter, and I kind of wanted to be like him.
So your first martial art was just getting right into mixed martial arts as like that singular kind of discipline, like obviously a multifaceted discipline, but I think it goes to show the growth of the sport, the fact that you're pursuing like MMA as like a specific discipline, albeit like an amalgamated kind of one, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So, I mean, I guess that was kind of the era that really, I guess, connected you to it because that was going to be one of my follow-up questions. Like Chuck Liddell, I guess, was like one of those, I guess, figures that really, I guess, like pierced through the screen and got you really into it.
Yes, he was. Just his style of fighting, it was very exciting, and that's how I like to approach the sport.
So, how long have you been training for then and everything like that ahead of this amateur MMA debut and everything like that? Like, when did the ball really get rolling with the training? And was the goal to always, turn it into a competitive endeavor or, yeah, just curious to hear all that.
Well, I started training, like I said, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. At the start, I never thought that I would actually compete. It was really just, for love of the sport and, self defense and stuff on the street. It can be very dangerous out there. But over the years, I've wrestled in high school and I played lots of competitive sports and, I had some time in my life and I thought now was the best opportunity to see what I can do in the amateur league.
I guess I'm curious. I mean, it's probably, looking way off into the future potentially with this being the amateur MMA debut. Is the desire to turn this into a professional endeavor after a certain point, or like what are we thinking in that kind of regard, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess that's every guy's dream, if you can make something of yourself in the lower sports. Of course, I would take that opportunity if it ever came.
And just something to be said about even, having this opportunity now, because I mean, for the longest time, it seemed like the regulatory components of amateur MMA in Ontario were very difficult and just unable to like really get off the ground in a lot of different regards. So cool to see what, has been done now and the strides made in that regard and just BTC putting on those amateur MMA fights. I think it's huge for the sport in terms of like really growing it and fleshing out that grassroots kind of level more so.
I agree. Over the last couple of years, I've looked into, amateur MMA, and I really haven't found anything in the province of Ontario. Usually, the way I saw it, you'd have to go to somewhere else like New York, Quebec, somewhere that really provided, a chance for amateurs to get their name out there.
Yeah, like it felt like for a while there was a lot of like people also like going to Alberta and stuff like that and whatnot. So good to see like more, I guess, domestic options available for people who want to even get into the sport on like an amateur kind of level and everything.
I couldn't agree more.
And just kind of curious about the, I guess, mindset and general approach for this fight. Like, is it mostly just focused on, what you're doing in terms of like the individual skill refinement, being that this is your amateur MMA debut, or is there some level of trying to get yourself familiarized with your opponent? I mean, not exactly ample footage on him comparatively, being that he's had the one fight before you, but all the same, has there been any attempt to like maybe pick up on, I guess, stylistic attributes he has or what he might be looking to do out there? Or is it mostly focused on just what you're bringing to the cage and you'll kind of adapt accordingly, I guess?
A bit of both. I've done a little bit of research that I could on Matt. He's a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So, of course, he's probably going to try to get this fight to the ground. It doesn't really matter where this fight goes. I feel like I'll be successful either way, on the feet or on the ground. I have some tricks up my sleeve that you'll be very surprised to see.
And I was seeing in an article on the BTC website that your opponent Harrigan is listed as training out of Hayabusa Academy in Kingston. I was seeing that you represent Bobcaygeon, but I'm curious like whereabouts you specifically train and everything like that.
Uh, I train out of my own gym. We have a very tight knit friend group. About, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us that we've been doing this for a long time. And this opportunity came up, and everyone said I should jump on it, and I couldn't agree more. So I just want to thank James for giving me this opportunity to showcase myself here on March 15th.
Yeah, for sure. And just be like, who would you say the main people you've been getting in that work with have been? Like, it's cool that you have like such a tight knit kind of space and stuff like that. Like, who are you mostly like working with as far as like just even sparring dynamics or just even people training alongside of you? Like, who are some of the main people within that collective there?
So my dad for sure is the biggest one. He's my coach. He's been my coach for the last 20 years. My brother, he's also been my main training partner over the years. And then, recently, like I said, we've got some friends, a couple of them that they're pretty good at this too, and they've been a lot of help sparring and helping me get ready for this.
And I'm kind of curious, like, I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. Like, have you felt like there has been like a certain level of attention on this fight in a particular regard? Like, I guess what I was seeing on social media was there was a lot of people who were touting you as having the best name in Canadian MMA and whatnot. Like, I guess I'm curious to get your thoughts on all that. Like, do you feel like there's a certain level of attention on this fight, being that it's like an amateur debut that maybe you're even a little taken aback by? Do you see it as like kind of like a playful, fun thing, or how do you look at all that? I guess.
I think it's actually hilarious, all those comments, and I didn't expect it to blow up as I guess as much as you say on the social media, and I'm just happy that people are excited and they're going to tune in, and I'm going to give them something to. I'm going to give them a good show.
You're gonna fight for Ontario, as some might say.
I'm going to.
I guess I'm kind of wondering, like, do you prefer Doug or Douglas? Because, like, I was even kind of wondering that because I saw on some of the promotional material you're going by Doug Ford, but then I talked to the matchmaker Woodrow James, and he was like, "Oh, I think he prefers to go by Douglas." Like, do you have a preference, or is it kind of just either or works? Or
Either or usually works, but I usually go. All my friends and everyone they call me Doug. My dad's also named Doug, so the only one that really calls me Douglas is my mother to extinguish the two of us.
yeah, no, for sure. I just figured I'd ask because I don't know. I mean, it was on the promotional material and stuff like that, but I'm like, maybe he doesn't want to lean into it too much, or I don't know. Yeah, just wanted to be sure, I guess.
Yeah, no, I usually go by Doug, and I think it's great that there's our premier's Doug Ford, so I love sharing the name with him.
And it also seems like he's been an advocate for MMA for quite a while from various articles that I've seen, even through the lens of like anti-bullying efforts and, getting kids into something more combat sports oriented, like solving their problems and having the, I guess, confidence to defend themselves, etc. So, I mean, there's even some level of connectivity there, I guess. Like it seems like he's a combat sports fan in a certain regard, at least.
Yeah, I think you could say that, and I think mixed martial arts is good for anyone to get into, even if you never plan on competing. It's a dangerous world out there, and it's always good to know how to defend yourself if necessary.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely agree with that. I mean, I don't think it worked out timing wise, because of what your fight was in terms of when it is, rather, and just what was going on with the, campaigning and everything like that. But I feel like at some point we got to get Doug Ford walking you out to the cage at some point. I feel like that could be a viral moment.
That would be very viral. It was a big month for him. He won the election third time, so he's tied for the longest record in Ontario history. And I plan on keeping that going on March 15th. Big month for Doug's.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good one, man, for sure. I guess like in terms of like some of the things we've been talking about and whatnot. I mean, I guess I sometimes talk to fighters about the visualization component and whatnot. Some people have, I guess, reoccurring visualizations of what they see kind of like playing out in the fight. Do you have anything like that in mind, or maybe not so much? Like maybe like try to see what presents itself in the fight and adapt accordingly, kind of like I was saying earlier.
I think I'm going to go out there and I'm going to finish this guy. I know it's my first fight, and I'm not going to go out there and try to be too cocky or anything, but I think this guy's not going to be on my level, and I'm going to show that on March 15th.
Just such an exciting time. I love what they're doing, like I said, with Ontario MMA and everything like that. And it just seems like a big time for Canada in mixed martial arts overall. Like I was, seeing some of the influx of announcements for that upcoming UFC 315 card in Montreal. And I was also seeing some reports that they're looking to get out to Western Canada later on this year. So it seems like a big time for Canadian MMA on like many different levels, like grassroots and then even on the UFC kind of tier and everything.
Yeah, it is. Ever since really feel like we haven't had a big Canadian mixed martial arts event since GSP's been in the game, and now it's good to see that a lot of other Canadians are getting their time to shine.
Yeah, it's a great thing, man, for sure. And, these athletes with BTC are going to have their chance to shine very soon. Really looking forward to this upcoming card there, the Bell Vegas event and everything like that. And yeah, I appreciate you making some time to chat in fairly close proximity to the event and everything like that, man. But I also figured I'd give you the floor in case you had any kind of final parting thought you were maybe wanting to add as we're wrapping up here, Doug. I do appreciate you making some time, man.
Oh, no problem. It's my pleasure getting on here and talking to you. And final thoughts, like I said, it's going to be fireworks on March 15th, and I think everyone's going to be pleasantly surprised when I step in the octagon. They can see what I do.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I love your backstory too. It seems like this has been, from what I can tell, like 20 some odd years in the making. So exciting times. I imagine you're stoked to really showcase your skills in front of a broader audience and everything.
Oh, I'm very excited, and some people they get stuck in the spotlight. They get out there and they might get nervous in front of a crowd or anything. That's not me. When I fought, I've played lots of sports and fought in big crowds before. Uh, all when I walk in the octagon, all that's just going to go away, and it's just going to be me and Matt in there, and everything else is not going to matter.
Yeah, well, stoked to check out this fight, man. This Matt Harrigan fight is going to be a great lightweight battle for sure. And just, yeah, love to see what's happening with, BTC always and just the professional and amateur fights they put on. And thanks so much again to reiterate for coming on the MMA Canada platform today. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what goes down with this fight. But until then, Doug, you have a good rest of your day. And again, thank you for coming on and giving me the time and insights.
Hey, thank you for having me on, and like I said, I can't wait.